Okay, next thing what we will see are the arithmetic expressions. So if you remember in the select statement, we had expressions and alias, right? See expression and alias. So we'll see what are expression or alias. So basically these are nothing but you may need to modify the way in which data is displayed or perform calculations or look at what if scenarios. Okay, these are all possible using arithmetic expressions. Okay, now what is a net arithmetic expression? It is nothing but an expression which can contain column names. Okay, so you can put the column names or you can put the numeric values, the constants, and the arithmetic operators. So these are the operators which you can use to calculate, right? So we have the basics here: plus, minus, multiply, divide. Okay, now when you have such thing in a number, okay, so if you have plus and minus both, which one will be the first? So that is done by the operator precedence. Multiplication, division, okay, it takes the priority. And then we have addition and subtraction. Okay, so after multiplication and division we have addition and subtraction. This is how the precedence is. So if you have multiplication and addition in a single expression, multiplication will be done first, and then with this result addition will be done. Okay, operators of the same priority are evaluated from left to right. Parentheses are used to force prioritize evaluation and to clarify statements. Okay, now in a same expression, if you have both multiply and plus and divide and minus and everything, right? It becomes difficult for you to understand, okay, which is actually working fast or first. Okay, then for that what we do, we use parentheses, okay, or the brackets that are used to force the prioritized evaluation to clarify the statements. Okay, let's see some examples here now. Okay, so if we want to see some arithmetic operators, so select last name, salary, and see salary plus 300. Okay, so it should be the table employees because department doesn't have the data. Okay, so in the employees table, what I pulled out is name, salary, and salary plus 300. So just imagine 300 is a bonus which was given evenly across to all the employees. Now, if you want to see, okay, after the addition of bonus, what will the data look like? Okay, that is when we use this in the select statement only. Okay, from the table, it's about employees. Okay, next thing, operator precedence. Now, like I told you, if you have multiple operators in the same line, so 12 into salary plus 100. So what will happen, because multiplication comes first in our BODMAS rule. So basically, the operator precedence is nothing but the BODMAS rule. Okay, which we have learned during our schools. So see, last name and salary is still the same. What we are doing is we are multiplying my salary with 12. So first I am multiplying it with 12, and then I add 100 to it. So what this will mean is I am multiplying my salary. Okay, like I am getting the yearly salary, and with the yearly salary I am adding 100, which is not correct, right? If we want to actually wanted to see, okay, if I increment my salary, okay, the employee salary by 100, then I want to see what's the total expenditure in the complete year. which is 12 months. So in the down on the last example where we have salary plus 100, we see we have parentheses coming in. Now again, parenthesis is always the first thing to be evaluated, right? So whenever you have a parenthesis, that is the first thing which evaluates instead of like in spite of many others being there. In BODMAS rule, B comes first, which is bracket. Hence, bracket is evaluated the first. So first we evaluate salary plus 100 and then we multiply it with 12. Okay. So next thing. Okay. So next thing what we will see is the null, null value. Now what is a null value? A null value is something which is unavailable, it is unassigned, it is unknown, or it is inapplicable. Okay. So null is something where there is no value. Okay. So it can be anything. Okay, even if it is a zero, that is a value. If it has a it just have a space, that can also be considered as a value. But if something if a cell has nothing, that is considered to be null. As simple as that. So now why we are discussing this is you have to keep in mind when you do arithmetic expression containing a null evaluates to null. Okay. So basically what happens is in your data, you have data like last name, job ID, salary, and the commission percent. Now, every employee does not get a commission percent. Only a few of them gets. Okay. Now, when you run this query, what happens is, let's run actually. Select last name, job ID, salary, and commission percent. Okay. Now I run this. So you see, for many of them, we don't have commission percent, right? Now, if I want to multiply this commission percent with any number, right? Salary is never a blank, and 12 is a constant number itself, right? So if I want to multiply a null with a numeric value or an arithmetic expression, then it will result to a null. Okay, that is how the behavior of null is. Okay. So to eradicate, what will you do? That it should not turn into null. Okay. So you can either represent or tell that okay, for every blank, let that be replaced by zero. Then at least you are counted here. Otherwise, you show as invalid identifier. Okay. So next thing what we will see is defining a null value. A null value is a value that is okay. This we saw actually. Defining a column alias. Now we learned about alias, right, in the first slide where we were seeing the syntax of SQL. Okay. Now alias is nothing but it renames a column heading. Okay, so it's renaming the column heading. Okay, remember this change is only a cosmetic change. Okay, nothing is actually being done to the database. No changes are being done to the database. Okay. So what column alias does is it renames a column heading. Okay, it's useful with calculation. So if you have a correct column alias, which is very small and only as per needed, then it will be useful with calculations because most of the calculations are huge. Okay, and you would need somewhere. Okay, something to validate. So it is useful with calculations. Immediately follows the column page the name. There can also be the optional as or the as keyword between the column name and alias. Okay. So basically what this means is whenever you are, putting a column alias or you are renaming a column, if you see this example, right, we have an as here, which we can remove. Okay, so last name and the um okay, last name as the name, commission percentage as com from HR employees. Okay, requires double quotation marks if it contains spaces or special characters or is case sensitive. Now, why would we need double quotes? Now, sometime back we learned that the headers for column is always in capital letters, right? Whatever you might put, if it's a small, or if like it is camel case where only the first letter is big and rest of all are small. Okay, so that will not happen. Okay, that is not how SQL would work. Either you need to put just like as, and everything else will be in capitals. Okay, because that's how SQL works. And also, if you put last name as name, then what happens is you are just renaming the name, the last name to name with N capital and AM is small. Now here we, in the example also, we what we will see is we are getting this name as the column header instead of having the complete name with names in capitals. Okay, because we have double coded it. Again, this goes same for this annual salary. Now, like there is a ground rule for naming some columns. One of the ground rules is you should never ever have a space between your column names. If you do that, your query is wrong. Okay, but now there are sometimes needs, right, where we need to write the annual salary. Okay, so what do we do there? We have done 12 into salary is annual salary from HR employees. Okay, so next thing what we will do is the concatenation operator. Now, what is a concatenation operator? A concatenation operator, this is a this is an operator which what it does, it concatenates or it joins the columns or the character strings to other columns. Okay, so basically you can join two columns together, or you can join two characters together, or you can also join columns and characters together. So whichever way you want you can do, but just use this concatenation operator. Okay, it is represented by two vertical bars. Okay, like I told you that a single bar is nothing but OR, and double bars where we put, that is a concatenation operator. Okay, and then it creates a resultant column that is a character. So whenever you are joining, even if you're joining to numerics, the one when you join, that is called the resistant column, that is a character. Okay, then we have literal character strings. A literal value is a character, a number, or a date that is included in select list. So if you write, okay, 10 as commission percent, okay, so because most of them doesn't have a commission percent, but you want to put the number 10, okay, so that is called a literal character. Okay, okay, remember one more thing here, that we have another function called as concatenate, okay, which concatenates values. The limitation with that and this is, but concatenate you can't have more than two values. Okay, but with this concatenation operator, which is double bars, you can achieve this. Now let's see how concatenation is used and how nulls are used. Okay, so last last name and job ID we concatenate and we get the employees table. Let's for not remove this. Okay, so you'll see this is the result that we got. Last name and job ID. So last name is able and job ID is SA rep. Now, if you want to show it more properly, what you can do is, so you see what I've done is nothing but I have put a space, okay, between two quotes and I have added it with the double quotes to my main data. Now with this, what happens is we actually getting able, which is SRF. Now this data is much clearer to me. Okay, this is what concatenate data is. Now there's another form of concatenate which is done using a function which is called concatenate. Now the difference or the main difference or the limitation between concatenate function and concatenate sticks are, here you can have multiple columns and strings as you want, but for concatenate function, it is only the function where we have only two inputs and two outputs. Okay, I hope this is clear. Next thing which we have is the null values in arithmetic expression. Now last name, okay, what we are doing is select last name is a then concatenate is a job ID as employee details. Now this kind of data you will only get in your company database, right? You will not get anywhere. So what we do is we select last name and then we put quotes and then we put job ID. Okay, so the next thing which we will see is eliminating the duplicate rows. Okay, now in the first slide when we were learning, we were starting with SQL queries. We saw in the syntax we had distinct keyword. Now we will see what is the use of the keyword. Okay, okay. So when we see for the duplicate rows, let me just quickly show you some example. Okay, so right now in the employees, okay, I have this column job ID. Okay, if you see in this job ID we have okay, so in this job ID we have many rows with ST clerk or SA man or SA rep, right? There are many such rows. But the issue is if I just select job ID and I want to see, okay, how many job IDs do we have or what are the unique job IDs we have in the employees table? Okay, what do we do for that? So we select just the job ID. Let me just select that. So you see each of the job IDs are being repeated. Okay, because for each row there is a different job ID, right? And they are going to be the same job IDs for multiple rows. Now this is not serving my purpose. I want to see the unique job IDs. So what I do in that case is I use the keyword called as distinct. Now when I use distinct keyword, what happens is I only see the unique job ID. So one job ID will appear only once in my data, and if there is a null will come always once. Okay, null always comes as once. So what I see is we have 19 rows select, which means we have 19 unique job IDs in my data. Okay, this means we have 19 unique job IDs in my data. Okay, so this is the use of distinct. Okay, so eliminate the duplicate rows by using the distinct keyword in the select clause. I hope this is clear how we, restrict data. Okay, so this was one of the parts that we have completed now. Okay, from the next, this is the next chapter where we will see how do we restrict and sort the data. Okay, so we will see how do we restrict and sort the data. Now, before going into this, one quick thing I want to show here is if you have a table. So right now you are very well accustomed with the table, right? You want to see what are the data, what is the columns we have in the table. Okay, so right now we did see one way, okay, where we were we were looking into how the table looks like and everything. Okay, but there is another way how we can show this. Okay, that is using a query. And what do we, and for that, what we do is HR dot employees. Okay, so we have this the ds is nothing but describe. Now what will this do? If you write a table, okay, after the keyword describe, it will show all the columns, okay, in the table, if the column is null or not null. Okay, and what type of column is that. Okay, this basically shows you the table structure. Okay, so employee ID is what is the column. Can this employee ID be null? No, this cannot be null. This concept is called constraint. Okay, this concept is called constraint. Let me just write this for you. You can, if you are interested, you can learn more on this constraint. This is what constraint. We have many kind of constraints which we can have on our column. We can have not null, we can have not blank, we can have a list of values constraint, which means, so if your target audience is in India and you have a table which you have a column which only takes the states from which the employee belongs to. Okay, you should only be allowed to enter Indian states because your market audience is India. You can't put US audience. Okay, so that is a list of value constraints or a range constraint, right? There are many types of constraint. If you want, let me just show this to you. Constraints in SQL. Okay, just go through it. You will have many constraints. Okay, okay, so this is how you describe your data or describe your table. Now let's quickly go into the next topic. Now, if you remember, before starting this, I told you about two concepts of selection and projection. Projection is where you project your columns but you select all your rows. Okay, there's nothing with the rows there. But when you say selection, selection is where you are selecting which rows to display. Okay, now when you say you are putting a filter on your rows that you display, so basically you are putting some conditions, right? Okay, for example, this is my employees table, and this I want to show only those rows, okay, who works in um maybe account. Okay, it's only one. Let me just take something else. ST clerk, let me take. Okay, so for ST clerk, I have 21 rows, right? So I want to check, or I want to display only those rows which works in job ID ST clerk. Okay, so what do we do? So let's write the query. Select start. Right now, let me select everything. So basically, I am projecting all my columns. Okay, from HR.employees, where job ID is equal to ST clerk. Sorry. Is my spelling correct? ST clerk. Okay, everything will be in caps. Clerk. Let's see if this works. Yeah, this works. And let's see how many rows do we return. We return 20 rows. Okay. Now, so the data, the version which I am using is a bit different. Okay, let me just remove this ST clerk. This is actually not needed. Okay, so how many do we have? We have 20 here, right? Even if we see here, also ST clerk, so you have 20 rows, right? That is what we are getting here. We are getting 20 rows. Okay, so basically what we did is we selected data and we only selected that part of the data which we need to show. We don't need everything. We only need a particular job ID's data. How did we do that? After writing our select and from clause, I have written one more clause where. Okay, so where helps us to filter out data. Where, after where we put the condition. Okay, so for right now my condition was where job ID is ST clerk. Now remember, I said earlier that SQL is not case sensitive, right? But if I would have written here ST clerk, no data found. Why? Even though I said SQL is not case sensitive, this is because in SQL, whatever you write like this, okay, like the column names, the keywords, okay, all these are not case sensitive, but the data is case sensitive, okay? So whatever you pull or whatever you write inside the single quotes or double quotes, those are case sensitive and will be, matched exactly same to same with the same case as well. So we need to be very careful when we are dealing with data because that needs to be case sensitive, because that is case sensitive. Okay, so we should always be sure about the case that we have. Okay, next thing, when we say data values, okay, we are putting a single quote, right? We are putting single quote. Now when we are putting single quote, um, we sometimes tend to get confused on, is it a single quote or it's a double quote. Okay, like I myself, I have been confused for a few years when I was learning, when I was working, that where to put a single quote, where to put a double quote. Now a very easy thing it's a very easy rule. Okay, whenever you are using a value, remember this, whenever you are using a value, whether it is in the where clause or anywhere, it's a value which is present somewhere in the table, okay, or maybe you are doing some manipulation, but it's a value, it will always be in a single quote. This is a golden rule. And when do we use double quotes? Whenever we have to put an alias of a table or a column, we use double quotes. Very clear thing. Whenever we have to work with, or whenever we have to rename a column or rename a table, we use double quotes. Rest everywhere we use single quotes. So keep this in mind whenever you are confused with between single quotes and double quotes. Once again, double quotes are used whenever we are working with or renaming tables or columns. Double quotes, rest everywhere single quotes. That's it. Okay, so this is how you pull data. Now this was a string. Okay, this st clerk was string. If you want to pull out a numerical data, okay, so let's see some numerical data here. Department id, right? We can just pull out department id 50. So department id 50. Now whenever it's a numerical data, you don't need quotes. You can write without the quotes as well. Okay, I hope this part is clear. Whenever it is numerical data, it is without quotes. Whenever it is a character data or a date, okay, it should always be in a it should always be without in single quotes. I hope this is clear. We will move on to the next thing. What do we have? Okay, so whatever I told you, same thing. So character strings and date values are enclosed in single quotation marks. Character values are case sensitive. Default date format is dd, mo, and rr. Okay, now the date format in Oracle is dd, mo, and rr, which means dd means the date, which is 01022825. Okay, mon means the first three letters of your month. So for example, for example, you have March, so it is mar. You have May is three letters, so it is may. Okay, or you have June, so which is jun. Okay, so this is how your date is written, and rr is year, like 0305, which is 2005, or 2023, which is 23, will be written here. Okay, so this is how we restrict data. Okay, and this is the syntax. From select and from clause syntax you already know. Okay, but where is something that we learned. Moving ahead. So right now we learned, okay, where we equate it, right? We had job ID is equal to 50, or job ID is equal to, we had ST clerk, or department ID we had 90 or 50. Okay, so we did an equal operator. Okay, we have many such operators that we can use. Okay, so this is where we do the comparison, and so for one we which we saw just now is equal to, then we have greater than, where we see the greater. If something is greater, the value is greater, we will see each of them in query. Okay, and we will see how each of them is working. You can always write down, you can pause the video here if you want, and you can write down the conditions that we have. I'll quickly show you the all of them in queries. So select last name, comma, salary from HR employees, where salary is less than is equal to 3000. Okay, let's run this. Now what this will do is it will select all the rows where the salary is either less or it is equal to 3000, right? In this, it will select all the rows where the salary is less than or is equal to 3000. Now, before moving on to the next, next comparison operators, one thing I want to point out is we have HR. We always, when we are writing a table name, we are putting an HR here. HR is nothing but the schema. Okay, I will discuss about this more in later course, but in case you are wondering what is this, why are we writing HR? So HR is nothing but the schema. After we are done with the course, I will discuss on why are we doing this. Okay, so just keep in mind it is just a schema. You need to put HR dot employees. Okay, so any table you are using here, you just need to put HR dot employees. Okay, okay, next part. So this you saw how we use less than is equal to. Okay, same you have greater than equal to. Okay, whenever you say both greater than or equal to, it will include the value you are putting and it will go above it. Okay, then what else do we have? We have um greater than. Whenever you put only this, it will not include the value you are putting. Okay, then not equal to. Not equal to means it will pull all the rows except the rows where the value equals. Okay, so it is just the opposite of equal to, not equal to. Okay, then we have some other comparison operators also. Okay, which is this between and in, set, or like. Okay, so what how does this works, we will see more on them. So let this be, this last name is comma salary of employees. Now I want the employees, okay, or the records where the salary ranges between maybe 3,000 and 4,000. Okay, so how would I have written if with this? So salary less than equal to 3,000 and salary greater than equal to, sorry, if I say in between, it will be greater than equal to 3,000 and salary salary less than equal to 4,000. So if I do this, I will get all the rows where my salary starts from 3,000, it includes 3,000 and it ends up to 4,000. So if anyone has 4,000, that will also come. If anyone has 3,000, that will also come. And all the salaries that are between 3,000 and 4,000, that will also come. Okay, so sorry. Okay, so this is how we would write when we want these records. And how many records are we getting here? We are getting 19 rows, right? Now, this is a tedious task and it is a bit confusing. Instead of doing this, what we can do is we can just write salary between 3,000 and 4,000 and we run it. So what do we see? We still get 19 rows. So it is basically the same of what we were doing earlier. Okay, salary between 3,000 and 4,000. Okay, so previously it was this. Okay, we did it this where salary is between 3,000 and 4,000. A very simple way of writing, right? This makes our query more good looking. Okay, what I did here is I commented out this line so that this line is not recognized by our interpreter when running the query. So this is just a comment. Okay, how I did it? So there are ways of commenting. This is something important, which you should understand very carefully. Commenting is when you don't want that thing to come up, or the interpreter to tell that okay, this is a code it should learn. So comment is something you can write anything you want to. Generally comments are written to make your code more readable. So for example, I have a big query right now. It is a very small query, but you have a very big query with multiples tables, multiple joins, multiple columns, and many things, right? You want someone to understand, okay, what that code is doing, what that query is doing, okay, by a single look. What you can do is always you can just put a comment here by putting um, two two hyphens. Okay. Now again, this commenting way differs from language to language. So from Oracle you have one, from MySQL you might have something different. So just see what are the comments for that particular language. So here we can have this, which is called single line comment. Okay. Or you can have a multiple line comment. Okay. So you can write hi, hello, and you can write many things here. Okay. Okay. So this is multiple line comment, and the one which I told you earlier, single line comment, you can put a comment to any line with a shortcut of control and forward slash. So I will just write it out, control and forward slash. So if you press both this together, your line will be commented or uncommented. Okay. Cool. So this was about commenting. Kind of brought it in between of doing the conditions, but this was something important. Okay. So I hope you understood that. Okay, coming back to the conditions that we were discussing about. So we were saying how between and can be used instead of writing two conditions here. Okay. Next, we have something called as the in condition. Okay. So what is an in condition? I want to see all the employees who work in department ID. Okay, and I don't want to see this time in a single department ID. Last time we saw only where department ID was 50, but this time I want to see 40, 50, and 60. We have 51, right? Okay, 40, 50, and 60. We want to see all the employees working in these three departments. How do we do? For this, we can use the in condition. Department ID in 40, 50, and 60, right? Okay, there is an error. Okay, so see this, whenever you have an error in your query, the error will be showed. Okay, at the end here where you get your data or the output, your error will be showed here. So you have, so because I selected last name and salary, so right now I'm getting all the rows where department ID is 40, 50, and 60. Same 51 rows is what we got here, 51 rows, right? So again, like I told you, when you have a list of conditions, you can use in. When you have a single condition, please use is equal to. Okay, and when, because in will take more time, then you can do it in as well with a single condition, but it is always advisable you use is equal to for single condition. And like in single condition also, when you use a string or a date, you need to use single quotes. Same goes for here. If I want to see all the rows where my job ID is maybe SA rep and SA man, I have 35 records, right? So what do I do? Job ID in. Remember that case is important for us to see. Okay, 35 rows. See, I hope this is clear now. How are we are doing this? Okay. Next thing, what we see here is like. Okay, we just now saw what is in. Next, we will see what is like condition. So like is, when do we use like? So like is when you are not sure about the complete data, okay, but you know a part of it, and then you want to query based on that. For example, you want to see, so if my data is this, okay, I want to see all the job IDs which starts with A. So if you see, we have multiple job IDs which is it starts with A or F, H, I, and many other things S. Okay. So I want to see my all the job IDs which starts with A. So what do I do? Select. Let me select distinct so that I only have the distinct values, not each value repeating multiple times. Job ID from HR employees, where job ID like. Okay, now I will be using like. A, like I said, always value is case sensitive. So capital A percentile. Let's see what all did we get. We got account manager, assistant press, and VP, 5 rows. Okay, so let's check this here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right, we have 5 job ideas with A. Now what it did is just now is it it told, okay, I want all the data or all the job IDs which starts with A. Percentile means it is okay. Percentile is nothing but a wildcard character. Now, what is a wildcard character? When you don't know what values will come in and you want to put a placeholder for that value, that is called that placeholder is called a wildcard character. So here you can use two wildcard characters. Either you put a percentile, which means zero or many. So it can have zero value. It can so if job ID only had A in it, that would also have been pulled. Okay, job ID had only a percentile, like only at one value, A, S, for example. So that would also have been pulled. Okay, and like it has multiple things, so that also multiple letters after it, that is also being pulled. So percentile means zero, one, or many. Okay, now there can be a case I know that there are two values. So any data which has two values after A should be pulled. Okay. Now, how do we do that? So let's have some thing. Okay. Okay, so we have two such last names where we have after A we have three letters, right? Able and Andy. Okay. So what I do is I put three underscores, and this is actually last name. So let me change to last name. Okay. So you see, when I run this, I get able and Andy. Why? Because I have put three underscores here. Okay. So because I have put three underscores, I get only those records where I have three letters after A. So A being one of the letter, rest we have three, and that's why we have put three underscores. So remember, underscore always means you need to have one character. It can't be zero. It should be a character. And it should only be one character. So each underscore represents one character, and like I said, there should be a character. You can't go without a character. Okay. So I hope this is clear. How are we doing? How are we picking up wildcard characters using like? You can have it anyway. You can have it before a. Okay, so for example, you want such last names which has a anywhere in it. So what you do, you put percentile a percentile. What this will do, this will pick all the last names which has a somewhere in it. But also just remember, because we did a small a, it will not pick up any such rows which has capital A in it. Okay, remember that it will not paste any such row which has capital A in it. It will always pick the small a's. So in that case, this rows, right, like Atkinson. So if you see Abel and Atkinson, Austin, this four will not be picked up because this had capital A. Okay, Austin. But again, if this had a small a somewhere, this would have been picked up. Okay, so this was about the like condition. Okay, next what we will see is null. Okay, now null is, like I told you earlier, null is like it is a value which is not, it does not exist. It is neither blank, it is neither a blank space, because blank space is considered a value. Okay, so that is what null is. Okay, how do we see, how do we get null values? So if you see in our data, this is the column which is null, which has nulls. For output purpose, for output sake, Oracle displays hyphen, one hyphen, where null is there, but actually it is null. Okay, so let's take this up, select the from HR employee, where commission percent is null. So you see, I get all the rows where commission percentage is null, where we don't have any value. Now just the opposite. If I want all the rows where commission percentage is not null, so basically the employees which are getting commission. Okay, so I just put a not in front of null. Is null, is not null. Okay, so here if you see, all the rows has got a commission percentage here. Okay. Okay, same goes for like and between. So when I said, okay, let me just go back to my session, view session, and let me go to the, okay, this is, so the, let also, let me just pick out statements only. Okay, this will be easier for me to navigate. So when I said is null, it is not null, right? Now, same way here, we wanted all the last names where my last name had a anywhere. Okay, like a small a anywhere to be more precise. Now I want all those where I don't have a small a anywhere. Okay, so what do I do in that case? In that case, let me just copy this and I won't edit it here. Let this be here. Okay, so here I just put not like. Now it will pick up all the last names where I don't have a small a. See, these are the capital A, and capital A and small a are different. If this is an uppercase, this is lowercase, right? So they're not same. That's why we're getting this. So these are all the last names where we don't have a, small a. So whenever you want the opposite of something, just include not. Okay, like for null, not null, like, not like, between, not between. Okay, that is how you can put. Okay, next what we have is logical conditions. Okay, which is and or not. Now what are logical conditions? This is something few of us might have learned during our school or college days. Okay, so we have this. So we have inputs. Okay, I'll just show you a truth table quickly. Okay, now 0 0 0. Okay, so this is a truth table which we learned during our school days. A few of us might have learned and few might not have learned. So I will teach you from the basics. So just imagine 0 being the false and 1 being the true, right? So a true value and a false value of zeros. Okay, so when I have this kind of a value with 0 being the false and 1 being the true, if I want to find out the result if x and y are joined by the operator and, okay, same we will see. Okay, and same we will see what happens when x and y are joined by the operator or and not works on a single operator. So we have x here. Okay, let's see how this works. So when x and y are joined by the operator and, the 0 and 0, we have 0. So false and false is 0. Now, when the output is false or 0, one of them, but another is true, right? For and, it is false. Why? Because for and, the logic is even if a single input is 0, the output will be 0. Again, we're here for x and y, we have y as 0, x as 1. So because y is 0, this will also come as 0. Like I told for and, even if single input is 0, the output will be 0. But here again, we have both 1 and 1, with both are uh, ones, right? Both inputs are 1. So the output will be 1. Okay, so remember this part whenever we are doing for x and y conditions. Okay, 1 0 0 0 1 1 0 and 1 1. Okay, when even if single 0 is there, the output will be 0 for and. Now, contrary to this, when you go for or, whenever here also for the whenever we have all of them as zeros or all are false, the output will always be false. Now, in and what happened is even there is a single 0, the output was 0. For or, how we say is even if there is a single 1, the output will be 1. Okay, so we put 1 here. Same goes for here because x is 1 here. So we put 1. And again, because both are ones, both are correct, so we put 1. Okay. This is how and or works. Now, not works, not nothing but negation. Okay, where we negate the value or the input which we get. Now, not of x is the input. So if we take 0, so not of 0 is 1. So basically, we are just taking the opposite of what we are getting. Okay, again, x of 0 is 1, and here x is 1. So we put 0, and here also we put 0. Okay. So not is nothing but where we are negating the input. Th- This is what it's being showed here, but because this is in letters, so it becomes difficult for us to understand. This truth table is kind of easy, so if you want, you can note this down by pausing it here. Okay, we will see some examples now how this is working. Let's have an example where we want the data. Okay, select maybe the employee ID, last name. Okay, that's and salary and job ID. salary and job ID from employees. Okay, till now we generally had given one condition per query, right? Now we will start giving two conditions. Okay, so now I want to have two conditions when my salary is greater than 5,000 and my department ID is 50. Okay, let's do this where my salary is greater than 5,000 and department is department ID is equal to 50. Okay, how many do we have? Okay, let me just select department ID. It will be easier for us to see. We have 5 rows. So if you see in all these 5 rows, the department ID is 50 and the salary is greater than 5,000. Okay, so this is how we speak in English as well, right? If you would have asked someone, okay, give me the data where the salary is greater than 15,000, 50,000 and department ID is 50, you would have spoken it in English in a similar way. Same thing, what we are speaking in English is what we are writing in SQL as well. Hence, in the beginning, I told SQL is nothing but English, but with a different grammar, right? So salary is greater than 5,000 and department ID is 50. So only when a row satisfies both the conditions, which I am putting it here, only then the row is eligible for the output here. Otherwise, no. Okay. Only when a row satisfies uh, the conditions I have given here, only then the row is eligible for output. Otherwise, it is not eligible for the output. Okay, so this is how AND works. Okay, now let's see OR. Okay, so if I just put OR here, let's see what happens. How many rows are we getting? Oh, we are getting many. 98 rows selected. So what does this means? This is basically either your salary should be greater than 5,000 or your department ID should be 50. If either of them is true, you are eligible to be displayed. See, even if both of them are true, still you are eligible for displaying, right? But for OR, even if one of the conditions you're putting here is true, you are eligible for being displayed. Okay, that is what OR is. Now remember, right now I showed here only with two inputs, X and Y. So basically you can think this to be the X and this to be the Y, right? You can have multiple such conditions. So I have put for salary and department ID. You can also add job ID where salary is 50,000 or department ID is equal to 50. Your job ID is equal to something ST clerk or something, right? And then what we the next condition is not. So not I have explained you sometime back when we were doing for like, in, and between, right? So we use not. Okay, so that is what not is. Okay, next what we see is the order by clause. Okay, now what is order by clause? So you have your data, right? So sort the rows with the order by clause. AC is the code for ascending order, and this is the default order. So if you don't mention how to order, SQL will order ascendingly. Or if you want it to be sorted or ordered descending, so you have to mention DESC. Always remember the order by clause comes last in the select statement. This is an interview question which we generally get when you are a fresher, or even experienced people also get this question. When is order by clause comes in the query? Order by always comes in the last. Okay. Now let's see an example. Okay, so we have select clause, from clause, where clause. Now I'll put order by clause. Order by salary. So now you see my salary is ordered 21,000, 22,000. See, it's sorted ascendingly because I've not put anything. If I want to put If I want to sort it descending, so after salary I just put descending. Okay, now you see it's sorted descending order. So the highest comes first and then low and then low. Okay. Now if you want to put multiple conditions, okay, so I can just put department ID here. Now, because again, now let me just put salary first and then department ID. Okay. Now first the lowest department ID come. Okay. And in that window, your salary is sorted. So basically 20 is the window, right? In 20, I'm getting these two rows. After 20 is put, then we see which salary is small. Then that row comes first and then the next row. Next, same goes for, others also. 30 we have one, 40 we have one, so leave. Now 50 we have many, right? So then 50 comes, and then we are seeing only, we are seeing the salary now is sorted in 50. Okay, so basically these are windows, these are small windows which is built. So first window is for department ID. Okay, first department ID is sorted, then for each department ID the salary is sorted. You can add ascending and descending as you wish. So ascending is not needed, you don't want, it's okay. Descending. So now what will happen is for 20, though, because it's ascending, it's still 20. But now, because I did salary as descending, 13,000 came before 6,000. Previously, 6,000 was top. Okay. So this is how you do when you want to sort your data. Okay. One quick thing which I want to show you is column alias. Okay. Before moving on to the next thing, I want to show you column alias. Now, this is department ID, right? Okay, with this query only I'll show you. I want to show it as department, DEPT. So you see, I just wrote DEPT after my department ID is sorted. Same for salary. If you want to show sal, you can just show sal. Okay. Now, if you want to show as sal with S capital, no, it will still come everything in capital. If you really want to show it in this way, like I told you earlier, you remember when I told you single quotes are used for values and double quotes are used for columns and table names? Now is the time we use double quotes. So now you see, it is just the way I've written here. Okay. I can also write space now. Because if I would have done this without double quotes, right, then it will give an error. Okay. Now it is department ID. Because space is not accepted in column name, but we want to show only for the output, so we have given double quotes. Same for table name also. If you want to rename it, you can just put it after the table like this. Okay, and you can call each of the column by using the table name. Okay, it is optional if you want, if you don't want. For salary and department ID, I have not put. For first draft put, so it's optional. It is mandatory when you do joins. When we see how do we do joins, okay, then this thing comes mandatory. So now you know how to rename a column. Also, like for example, this comes very handy when you want to show, for example, I want to see the annual salary. Okay, annual salary. So I just do salary into 12 and I do annual salary. If this I wouldn't have done, then I would have got salary into 12 as the column header.